Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt, what's up, beautiful humans?
Hey, you guys. So again, here we are about to talk about something that Samantha and I are just steeped in and are thinking that our listeners are as well, or, we can all learn from this. So we're calling this one recalibrating the nervous system, right? And I just want to talk a little bit macroly. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Yeah, on the macro. We've got a coming up on the holidays. We're recording this in November, early November, actually, so much so that we haven't even had the election. So this will come out after the election, but there's just a lot in people's global consciousness. I feel the vibration is just very high, very high. But for you and I, you were out on your yet another training for Ironman.
They just don't stop.
They just don't
They
stop.
just don't stop.
So you texted me earlier and you're like, okay, all the monkey, I call it monkey mind, all that monkey mind going on.
I call it evil twin.
The
Totally.
evil twin, right? And so part of what we wanted to share with you guys today about recalibrating, because I've got, I literally spoke with my naturopath on Friday and, he's like, oh, you're taking this, whatever. And I'm like, dude, stress is at a 10, like the stress has been at a 10. And he's like virtually writing me a prescription for more groundedness. He's like, girl, like you need to get, you can do all these things, but like get grounded. I do a lot of yin exercise, yin yang, so meaning like high intensity or strength building, and it's like pushing the body. And he's like, put some yang in there, like go, So we talked about that. So tell me about your bike ride this morning, and your, monkey mind was going off, and around self-coaching, right? That's really what the message, part of what we want to get across today, is like the importance of not only recalibrating, but taking it upon ourselves, right, to do it.
Exactly. Taking ownership and self-coaching and learning these skills so you can, rein this stuff in.
Totally.
Well, coming off of an illness and, I've got literally, 2 weeks from this morning as I got on my bike, I will be towing the line at Ironman, Arizona, right? And not feeling great. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. But that said, I didn't want to get on the bike.
The body and the mind were like,
no, this is not what you should be doing. I'm not into it. Resistance. And so I get on the bike anyway, because it is a requirement today. And then I knew I had to swim afterwards also, but my brain and body were totally in resistance mode. And my evil twin, the monkey mind, was just chatter, chatter, chatter. Oh, this doesn't feel good. The bike's not fitting you like it was. I mean, I just had a tune up and I put new tires on. So I was like, the bike doesn't fit anymore. Everything hurts. I don't know how to ride the bike anymore. It was just this whole insanity of chit chat.
Just this barrage.
Yeah. Literally on this, my evil twin was like, wait, you're not even a triathlete anymore. What the hell happened to you? Well, the wheels really fell off the bus in 3 weeks. Totally. And it was totally nuts. And I had to just pause. I mean, I kept my legs rotating around, but literally shifted down, super light gear, just cruising, and be like, okay, settle down. It is time to recalibrate this nervous system that is completely ramped up beyond recognition, and to have an honest conversation with yourself and talk for real about what is reality, not all these stories, not all these emotional, pings and pangs of things that are not real. I've been a triathlete. I mean, I started when I was 30. I'm 55. I think I know how to swim, bike, and run. But literally, I was like, I can't do it. Or the bike not fitting. I mean, this is ludicrous, or that I am out of shape because I've had a big business trip for 2 weeks, which was physical, very physically active. And then I got a flu bug that I'm all of a sudden deconditioned after all of this.
Right.
I mean, thousands of miles and hundreds of hours. It's just the insanity of that not being true is hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I started to get myself sorted out. And then I also started to do what I really needed to do, which was get real in the moment of where I was. So bring myself back into, okay, right now you're currently on your bike. You haven't ridden your bike in 3 weeks. This is amazing. Look how beautiful it is out here. It's fall in the desert now. When I left, it was 100 degrees. Now it's 75. It's gorgeous. Like being aware of the sun on my body and the beauty of the nature around me and all of it, getting really true and grounded in what is real and what is now allowed me to bring my heart rate down, calm myself down, and then, of course, go on with the next 2.5 hours of spinning my legs in circles.
Totally.
Yeah, so that was my morning.
So it's that self-coaching. What's really important that I think you and I, we've talked a lot in other episodes about emotional fitness, right? And we talk about how our emotional system, I look at us as, energy bodies with multiple bodies, physical body, emotional, spiritual, physical. We got this emotional body that can get all out of whack based on stories and people and interactions and the environment or old thoughts, memories, whatever, right? So we get this dysregulation in the emotional body. And what you're getting is like this physical body, and we tie it in with the nervous system, and we'll go into a little bit, maybe now we'll just talk about the regulation of the state that we want to be in. And many of you have heard of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And so the sympathetic nervous system is our fight and flight. It's our fight, flight, freeze. It's, response to something threatening, if you will. These days, email can be threatening. Social media posts can be threatening.
Text.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Text can be threatening, right? We're not fighting lions and tigers and bears anymore. We're fighting, insults or people in the grocery store are being cut off or
But your nervous system or your brain doesn't know the difference.
Right. 100%.
Isn't that mind-boggling?
Wow. It just shows how fast we're evolving and our mind just hasn't caught up. You got this 2 million-year-old mammalian brain in the back of our head, the base of our neck, that's still there. It's like, but it's designed to keep the species going. So God bless it, right? It's got a purpose. We just need to, as you said, self-coach, self-soothe, self-regulate, notice what's going on. And what we want to live in is not the sympathetic. We want to live in the parasympathetic, which is where rest and digest, which is where I would say vitality, longevity, ease, well-being is our natural state, right? And it's those moments when we get out of it. And so one of the things you and I wanted to talk about and bring up to people is the thing that we've been studying. I think we're on I don't know how long it's been studied, but the vagus nerve, you and I are coming more and more into messages around it and learning about it. And so we just want to throw in here vagus, VAGUS, vagus nerve, if you want to go look it up. It is a nerve. It literally, I think as I recall, it goes like down the front of your chest into your digestion, so it's this major.
From your brain.
Yeah, from your brain. And it's like sending signals mostly to your gut, your heart, gut. It's this whole controlling that it's the trigger that says, okay, everything is well in the body, in the world, in the environment. We can stay in the parasympathetic. And when something knocks us out of whack, it goes, oh, got to get into the sympathetic, right? And it sends signals to the digestion, to the heart rate, to the muscles, all these things to move blood to the right places so that we can run, to fight, adrenaline gets pumped, whatever it is. But as human beings in a very sophisticated world these days, a lot of us are living in that, sympathetic state, that heightened state of awareness, often depending on the work or the family or the situation, right?
Yeah, and that serves a purpose at some small times in our lives. Maybe there's moments you actually are fighting for your life, or maybe there are moments you want to reach a very high athletic or physical performance. Like it's there for very specific reasons, not to every day be our way of being in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you can go into it every day. It's what we're wanting to point out is, so what I think you did so beautifully on your bike, and something that I just this past weekend have been looking at as, I get this sort of virtual prescription from my naturopath, like more yang, more groundedness, more, chill, right?
Yeah.
Get out of that, constant adrenal, and so what he's talking about is, my adrenals are being taxed because of all the stress that I perceive in my work and whatnot. And so it's about how do you get grounded? What are some of the techniques? Do you do it ongoing? Do you do it once in a while? Do you do it on the weekend? Whatever. And so we wanted to just open up this conversation to explore some things that you and I do for ourselves. And, we love feedback. So if you want to share, and comment or let us know what you found that works. But what are some of the things that you've done for yourself, or, like you just the self-talk? It sounded like self-talk today was what, what was
Yeah.
part of it.
And I think of it like, I use the word all the time, recalibration, because I think of based on what I do for work, but also physically as an athlete. Um, I tend to cycle in and out of it with
Mhm.
intention. There are definitely periods of time where I need to be in that super high space, which is exhausting. But
Mm.
for small periods of time, it's appropriate. But then when that is over, when a event is produced and the race is over, for example, recently just producing one of the world championships for Ironman, when that is over and the last finisher finishes and everybody's home safe and sound, it's time to bring it back down. So I think, okay,
Mhm.
it's time for me to recalibrate
Mhm.
my vibration, my energy, my thought process. I need to bring my heart rate down. I need to do these tools that we're going to talk about in order to self regulate or recalibrate myself back into reality,
Mhm.
into
Mhm.
that state you're referring to, or even with the people that I work with,
Mhm.
because people co regulate each other.
Oh
You can be
yeah,
around real zingers,
totally,
full of
totally.
anxiety, full of stress, full of anger, full of whatever they're at. And they will absolutely bring you into their state,
Mm.
vibrationally and otherwise, verbally, physically, and all that. And you will match their vibration, even though you want nothing to do with it. And whatever's going on there has nothing to do with you. Or you
Mhm.
and I routinely
Mhm.
recalibrate each other and bring each other into
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
relaxed state we're referring to.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
One thing I noticed, having jobs in Silicon Valley over the years and then going and taking, I'll go to Mexico for a weekend or a week or whatever. And I can remember times where it was like day 2 or 3 into the quote vacation. I was like, I finally feel like I'm on big, just that slowing things down. Your shoulders come off your ears, they go down to where they normally sit, right? Your heart rate kind of soothes. You just feel ease. You feel at ease in your body, right? And what we're trying to
Mhm.
point out is, that downshifting into that state. I'm not saying like, okay, you can be at work and just be in vacation mode. It's not exactly the same, but noticing if you are keeping yourself in an elevated state, is it necessary or is it just perception, right? Like you could have done that whole ride just pissed off and
Mhm.
frustrated and angst about being on the
Mhm.
bike and all you could have let that chatter continue, but instead you're like, hold up,
Mhm.
right? And then it's like, let me slow this down, take a wider perspective. And one of the things you and I have talked about recently is like finding the goal, right? And so you've got this beautiful environment. You're out on your bike. It's a beautiful day. You've got 3 hours to yourself. It's like going for a nice little ride here.
Oh,
Right.
it's a mini vacation. What am I talking about? I mean, it totally is. It
Yeah.
totally is a mini vacation. Isn't it funny? Haven't you had those vacations where it's not even a vacation
Oh
because
God.
you jam-packed it with things and then the travel was horrible on the front and the back, and then you were with people who were cray cray. So, and then you get done with a vacation, you're like, I'm exhausted.
That's
I need a vacation.
vacation for
Okay,
my
we're gonna
vacation.
do not do one of those.
Totally. So like so after hearing that from my naturopath on Friday, I was like, all right, how can I do some yang things this weekend? And so I just like really just opened up the like what would be yang and what that felt like, so, I do a lot of hiking beautiful mountains and hard charging up the hill and stuff. And I went, okay, if I don't want to get sweaty and my heart rate up, like that's not the purpose of this. So I just went for this beautiful woods walk, the Bob Jones Trail in San Luis Obispo area. So I just went on this beautiful nature walk and I was just looking at the trees and smiling at the people, like for nothing. Like, and it was like after being on for so many days, like it was a
Mm,
little bit like wild horses in my body. We're like, well, we could just jog, lightly jog. It just was, kind of your monkey mind telling you, no, 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 no. Mine was kind of like, why aren't we going faster? And how long is this going to go on? Shouldn't we go do, get stuff to do? And I was like, hold up, we're just taking a walk in the woods and noticing. I mean, I would stop and I would look at a tree and just how it was on the side of the hill and just taking it, and the birds were flying like half a mile up. I was like, oh my God, just taking it all in, right? And then after that, I
Exactly.
brought my bathing suit and I went on little hot springs there in Avila. Just went,
Ooh, look at you.
I know. And I just was like, I'm just going to sit in this little hot springs, little sulfur, getting all the little minerals and
Hmm.
just watching the birds fly. That was all I was doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it is something that everybody wrestles with
Mm,
because there are the demands of life,
yeah.
but there also are self-imposed demands,
Mm,
right? So it's also like understanding your bandwidth
yeah.
and your capabilities and your capacities for certain times, days, cycles, etc. You have a massive workload right now. I have a seasonally massive workload right now. In a
Yeah.
perfect world, I would not be training for an Ironman on top of that, right? But lots of things happened
Yeah.
that made me move my race all the way to the fall. But anyway, so sometimes like we set ourselves up for a bit of craziness,
Mm,
and knowing that, because we're all intelligent enough to know what we've put on our plate,
yeah. Yeah.
right? Knowing that, and like you and I say all the time, clear the decks, clean the plate, removing stuff, or
Mhm,
just taking moments like you did today, carving out this half day or whatever it was to say, okay,
mhm.
we are going to be taking this down a few notches, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
absolutely balancing out my energy here, or me
Mhm,
doing the same thing. I get a
mhm.
lot of that in the pool. I was talking to you about, I also went swimming today, and of course, I'm swimming a lot too, training for this thing, but just being in the pool for me is very flow and rhythmic and calming. You're in
Yeah.
water, you're weightless, you're breathing very ideally slow and controlled and methodical, along with your
Mhm,
strokes and things like that. And it's so calming and soothing to
mhm.
my nervous system,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like there's so many opportunities around us,
Mhm,
activity wise, like
mhm,
you stated and I have stated, where you can do an activity, so you don't have to just lay down in your bed and close your eyes and meditate.
mhm.
You can
Maybe,
do that
maybe.
too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Or just
Well,
breathing,
and one
deep
of the things
breathing.
we note about, everybody's a little different. So you have a side of you that's very outgoing and wants to be with people and community and stuff like that. And so at times you're like, give me the people, right? And then times you're like, get away from me, people. And so
Oh, yeah.
depending on what feels good for you,
Hmm.
being with people and finding connection, whether it's one-on-one or one-on-many, or just being in a pleasant environment, going to a yoga studio that's full of people that are just in savasana, maybe that's the thing. Or you just need to be at home and petting your cat. You decide what self-regulating is for you. What we're talking about is, or wanting to shine a light on is self-coaching and self-soothing and self-regulating for your nervous system, for your well-being, right? It's like bringing you back into you. And, I want to talk for a minute about something that I learned about, and I think about the Heart Math Institute, which is Joe Dispenza and Craig Braden, and they have studied thousands of brains, and they have this thing called heart math, and it's a study of the coherence, right? So I often picture when I've watched their work, and you can see Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden videos on YouTube all day long. Um, they talk about the coherence between the brain and the heart, and there's a brain in the heart, but the two organs, if you will. And I think of it like a figure eight, and it's like you just send the energy back and forth in a figure eight from your head to your heart, to your head to your heart, and it's bringing it back into balance. And what they do when they train people is, we've talked about biofeedback, is they show you like on a biofeedback screen, the two frequencies, I think it is, with like the rhythmic, the energy. So one is, let's see, it's magnetic, and the other one's energy. I forget what it is. Anyway, so it's like EKG. If they're out of whack, the two blips of the line they're just frantically going up and down in different. But when you get them in coherence, they're like beating like one heartbeat on an EKG. So it's paying attention to the breath, the heartbeat, the thoughts, and bringing it all into balance. Bring it all like a perfect dance together, the two of them. And that takes some practice, that takes some training, but if you want to go down that road, it's a beautiful alignment for imagination, creativity, well-being, thoughtfulness, just being in the world as well.
That reminds me a lot about heart rate training, which is
Yeah.
one of my certifications for training people to do health, wellness, and fitness activities. However, it's also a huge indicator of your overall health,
Mm,
mental, emotional, physical health.
mhm,
And most of the listeners will be familiar. They either wear a Whoop or they've got an Apple Watch or whatever. They're training for something. They've got a heart rate monitor on, right? So I just am so intrigued how many people use that as a training device to go do a workout and log the miles and the pace and whatever, but they don't really pay attention to the heart rate data.
mhm,
It's kind of the most important part,
mm,
right?
mm,
Our body is literally operating because we have this heart, and the
mm,
health of this heart is
mm,
paramount
mm.
to 100% of the functionality of the body.
Yeah.
And so if you walk around every day with your heart rate elevated because of stress, 5 beats, 10 beats, 15 beats. By the way, this is very common, people having high heart rate, high blood pressure, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's because they're in disease state or they're just stressed out and cortisol is pumping through every possible vessel and cell in their body. The body is under stress. The heart
Mm,
is under stress,
mm,
right? And that
mm,
just over time wears and tears on that really beautiful heart that's trying to do its job.
mhm, mhm. It's like
And
driving your car, in a downregulated gear and you're trying to go fast.
yes,
It's like you're in second gear and
yes.
you're trying to go 50. And it's like it ain't designed for that.
Yes. How
Right.
I knew I was still sick and not ready to start training yet after this little bout of the flu is I went out to do a very easy jog, walk, just start to get some running in again. And I couldn't get out of second gear. Like I
Mm,
literally was like, I got nothing.
yeah.
There's nothing here.
Yeah.
I need to just walk and go home.
Yeah.
I don't need to be like, I'm going to force this. We're going to do.
Mhm,
No, it's
mhm,
completely counter to my body's health
mhm,
and also to my mental health.
for
Something enough,
sure.
you know?
And the other thing we wanted to talk about, I think that's important if we start to lean towards, okay, so if you want to take on self-coaching, self-soothing, self-regulating, right? Whether you're aware of it in the moment or you're aware of it in a macro level, or, you come off of a week of stress or 2 weeks at Ironman, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so,
I saw that coming and I knew and had to plan like I
right,
always do, especially if I
right.
come back from a travel and you
Yeah.
might have this with travel too. Like, okay, 3 or 4 days or whatever it is for you, human,
Yep.
dial it the hell down and focus on
Yeah.
sleep, nutrition,
Yeah.
all these recovery elements.
Yeah. Speaking of travel, I learned a long time ago that I never flew back the night before or the day before I went to work. If I had a job that I was doing, it was like, no, it's always 2 days so that you have that decompress. What do we used to call it? Oh, there's like a reemerge, something. I forget but it's like, got to get out of that mode and into this new mode. And you give yourself a little transition period, a buffer, right? So
Mhm.
some of the things environmentally I wanted to talk about, like you've talked to me about this, how you do it is, sound, changing the music you're listening to or whatever's going in your ears. It could be a podcast, it could be some singing, music. Like you had a favorite CD, right?
I did, yeah. It's hilarious. When I started on my, I guess, health and spiritual journey now 25 years ago or whatever the heck it was. And I was really coming out of a lot of physical and mental illness. And I'd taken a weekend workshop and, was working on my physical health and getting connected with my spiritual self and stuff like that. And the gal who was leading it was, yogi and a musician and all these things. So she had this wonderful music she would expose us to live at the event. It was phenomenal. And so I bought her CD and then I became completely hooked on this CD for
Mm,
years following,
mm,
because with that became this vibration that brought with it a feeling that was so calming and so
mm,
beautiful. And so I was telling you, I drove around, I had one in my car, I had one next to my bedside. This is when CD players were a thing,
mm.
one in
Yeah.
my living room. So I'd have these CDs all around. And when I'd get stressed or anxious, I would put it on and I'd bring myself back down. I would ground or recalibrate myself utilizing those words, that music. And a lot of people do this now with meditation, of course. I got totally hooked on that. And, I still have that. I don't play it now because there's no CD player. But I was just thinking about it, the other day when I was talking to somebody else about this kind of thing. And I need to find it and bring it back out.
Well,
Sound is incredibly powerful.
it's so, well, frequency, because
Frequency.
it's frequency. And,
Yep.
you were talking about you can be in a room with somebody, their frequency can impact your frequency if you let it. Most of the
For
time,
good or bad.
right? And then the same with sound. So the music you put on and so, if you're listening to the news before bed, whatever, like just
Who in the hell is still doing that?
I know.
Excuse me?
I know. I know.
Please.
Just want to like bang my head. I'm like, please don't, please. Yeah.
I mean, no to that.
All right. So
sound.
Yep. And
What
then
else?
eyes, visual, so one of the things that I look at is I learned this, I saw her being interviewed and she talked about how I think it was her bedroom or her home. She said, when I walk in, my home is an oasis. It is like my queendom. When I come home, it soothes me. Yeah, like, and so however your home is, not only like how nicely you have it decorated, but is it clean? Is it organized? Is it free of clutter? Is it well kept? And your bedroom, the same thing, even more so. Like your bedroom is where you go to slumber, right? Does it soothe you? Does it relax you? Does it take you down a notch? Does it downshift you when you walk into it? Does it feel good? Right?
Your environment that you're exposing yourself to and submerging yourself in every day, your home environment, your car, your work environment, these are critical places of entryway. They're gateways basically into this opportunity for recalibration of the nervous system.
Yeah.
Like I don't like messy places, as you know. Not into messy, unorganized places. They give me anxiety for whatever reason. That's how it impacts me. And so I like a clean house, a clean car, a clean office, all of that kind of stuff. So when I go into other people's spaces that are not that way, it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable for me. And I do think, how does this person feel right now when they're in their own space? How does this big pile of dishes or mess on the table, kitchen table that's taken over, or their clothes all over their bedroom floor, and how is that not disrupting their peace of mind, their inner peace?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get it.
And it goes to for the clutter, so I studied feng shui about 10, 15 years ago, and like the placement of things, the organization, the colors in your room, the just, I guess we don't want to belabor this, but just know on the micro level, and we'll get to some like in the minute ways to help self-regulate, like you were doing self-talk on your bike and stuff like that. That had nothing to do with what was going on in your house and your drawers, right? But having a home or a car or a purse or whatever those things that you see day in, day out that are well kept, well maintained. And if not, maybe some of the investment of time to help your nervous system is you cleaning house, cleaning drawers out. We've talked about this in other episodes,
I
right?
use that. It's one of my recalibration tools, especially if I've been traveling a lot and then I come home. I clean my house. I haven't been in my house, by the way. Maybe my husband has, or maybe there was company over, whatever, but I clean the house because it's part of my therapeutic way of resetting and recalibrating. I'm back home, I'm grounded in my space, and I'm nurturing myself through that process.
Part of the self-care. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about, your environment. So maybe it's connection and community that you need, so maybe the recalibration is you've spent so much time focused on giving or whatever, and maybe you need to step back and give to yourself, or maybe you've been so overloaded with demands at work and you need to be with friends and people that love you or go out to dinner with people or whatever it is. So finding connection and community. And then I'd say the last one is, movement. So does a form of movement help you feel more at ease, more yang than yin, to maybe it's yoga for some people, maybe it's a walk in nature, maybe it's a bath, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's laying the frick down.
Mhm. You know, on that connection piece, real quick, I obviously my drug of choice is coffee, and I have a morning latte at the local coffee shop. And I do people watch a lot. You know, I go at different times depending on what's going on, and I love to kind of see what the humans are doing there. Sometimes I'm very engaged in connecting with the humans and the barista or whatever, and other times I'm not. But I like to just kind of observe, and I do notice this is what a lot of humans use is that coffee shop experience for that recalibration.
Oh,
Maybe they sit down and they take some time to enjoy some nourishment, but
mhm,
also it's being in that community that's very comfortable. They don't even have to
mhm,
talk to anyone. They can be sitting in the corner, drinking their latte or whatever, but they're in a really beautiful place with
mhm,
beautiful people doing a beautiful thing for themselves. And that
mhm,
feels good. That
mhm.
feels good.
Yeah, I think
Movement, well, I mean, I live and breathe by that. And so when I can't move, it does create some challenge for me. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering about you, how, especially now you just got this recent prescription to settle down, little
Settle
lady.
down,
How are
yeah.
you feeling about not having as much movement?
Well, so I have gotten back into 3 times a week at my favorite local gym is Gymnazo. So let's just call it a strength exercise for an hour a day. So that's feeling good. But I do notice it was no surprise to me when talking to my naturopath, he was like, yeah, you need some yang to your yin. And I was like, yeah, I could have said that to myself. I've been thinking
Mhm.
that very thing. And as I was speaking to him, what I told him about is when I was doing a lot of my trainings with Spartans and other races, how one of my favorite downshifting movements was getting in a hot yoga room. I like Bikram. I know not
Yes.
everybody likes Bikram, but it was something that I found. I like the structure of it. I like not thinking. I like just, do this, do this, do this. And then guess what? Savasana, like every minute or, like every whatever. It's like Savasana. I was like, oh, I can do this. Laying in a hot room and on my back and then get up and do a pose and then lay down, I was like, oh yeah. And I haven't done that, and so I
I'm going to
was,
get in there this week.
oh, nice, nice. I
Yeah.
gotta find one. So the one that I used to go to years ago is closed. So gotta find one.
Mhm.
But then I thought this morning, I was like, oh, I could do a little yoga in my room, but it's not quite the same, like
Yeah.
it didn't call to me this morning. But so
Yeah.
yeah, so whatever movement looks like for you. So maybe it's a walk, maybe it's this little savasana, maybe it's some yoga, maybe it's stretch, pool
Yeah.
time, whatever.
And I would say a big reason that that's so impactful is because of the stagnation of energy,
Mm,
and the nervous system
mm,
is trapping this energy, this angst, this anxiety, this sadness, this anger, whatever these emotions are and things you're experiencing are sitting in the body, in the physical
mm,
body.
mm,
They're not just
mm.
some weird concept. They're like, in the
Yeah.
body, and they're triggering this nervous system response we keep speaking about. So, a way to release them and diffuse them and move past and through them. That was a little bit of the self coaching I had going on this morning, too. I was like, I think a big chunk of this anxiety I'm feeling is because I haven't been doing my normal movement, swim, bike, run, moving through space, moving my body, and really allowing this continuous process to move through my thoughts, my emotions,
Mm,
and my expression. And so there was a lot of trapped up energy in there,
yeah.
and even though I didn't want to get on the bike, and then I was, for the first half hour, how short can I make this ride? And I gotta But then once I was like 90 minutes in, I was like, oh, I could just keep
The
going. This is
the
quite
the
lovely.
dopamine
There
comes in,
was a
Yeah.
exactly, the
Yes.
chemicals had shifted,
Yeah.
the release had occurred.
Yeah.
Now it's not always doesn't always take 90 minutes, but there was a lot of shit piled up in
Yeah.
there,
But gotta just bang this out, knock this
you
out.
know?
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's so
So,
good.
I think we've given some, so there's the environment. So maybe it's something that you just think about on your little micro macro level, your house, your car, how are your spaces, things like that.
Your
We talk about
inbox,
your oh girl. Yeah,
please.
don't be mentioning inbox. I got a little anxiety
Delete,
around that.
delete.
Oh. Whew. Well, what's happened is I had I I think there was like a big breach or whatever, and I think my email was in one of the breaches like a year ago or something. The amount of spam that I now get far surpasses the amount of emails I get. And so just all that junk trying to filter through that. It's like, don't like my inbox anymore. Anyway, the things that I wanted to share on a moment by moment level, right? So besides self-coaching in the moment and talking, wrestling with that monkey mind, two things that I've learned that I wanted to pass along. One is I have a theory proven to me. You guys try it on for yourself, but I've proved it to myself. And this comes back to, my days of eating disorder living and eating disorder coaching. You can imagine the triggering, right? And the, let's call it emotional dysregulation that my clients and I had experienced when an addictive behavior feels like it's taking over your body. And so one of the things that I used to coach was no emotion can survive 10 long, slow, deep breaths. And I have a feeling whatever's dysregulating our emotion or nervous system, I think this could work there as well. So, maybe it's just sitting in your car and looking out the window and after a long day or excusing yourself from a meeting and just going in the bathroom and taking 10 long, slow, and that's like a 5 count in, 8 count out type thing. The other one is, and I don't know if anyone's proven this, but I swear it works, is the sigh. A good sigh, 2 sighs, even better. And I mean, so like Tony Robbins has a video and he says, I think he says, breathe out with a moan and enjoy it. So it's like, ah, like really, because you can't be in sympathetic mode, being chased by lions and be sighing. Like the brain's like, oh no, we're sighing. We must be okay. We must be okay, right? And so just that, giving your whole body, your energy body, a signal, it's okay. Everything's okay right now. I'm okay. We're okay. Whatever just happened, it's going to be okay. It's just kind of that moment with yourself.
Slowing down your breath. And ultimately that means heart rate.
And I think
that vagus nerve.
Yeah. And a lot of this, so whether you are working at the local level, meaning your car, your house, your bedroom, your well-being in that realm, or in the moment by moment, things that trigger us, or we get peaks and then, bring ourselves back down with some breath work or some sighing or stepping out of the room or changing the sound of music, anything, whatever it is, but taking that opportunity to put yourself in the driver's seat of how you feel inside, nervous system wise, emotional system wise, and making it matter to you. Right. So
it's interesting. I said this to you, I think it was offline. I don't imagine I said it during a podcast, but that what I know to be most true for myself going into this race, and you're going to be there. And so I was giving you a heads up that this is really important to me because I know you'll help me honor and respect that, is I don't want any hype. I don't want any high intensity. I don't want any raw, crazy, all the stuff that a lot of times we do before like a big physical activity or a race or, how we pump ourselves up to give speeches and whatever the hell we all do. Crazy stuff, right? I want the total opposite. Like I want to go in just completely grounded and centered and present in what is going to be.
Yeah.
And just be in it.
I find that I wholeheartedly agree. I can remember times where I've been, in that like rate, it's not packet pickup, but at the start of a race, there's the, half hour before like the gun goes off or whatever type of moment. And people are doing either a couple of hours before, if you happen to be in the area, or just that last half hour. People are doing all sorts of different things. Some people are sprinting, some people are going to the bathroom, whatever. Like that day, or, depending on how it's like, I find that especially endurance events,
the longer
is like,
it is,
the more mellow I am before it. I'm like, yep, I don't need to be jumping on. I mean, I can remember when we were going for my Ironman and you and I went out to pack a pickup the day before, we were like biking and like running and swimming. I'm like, y'all just need to slow the hell down. Like the race is tomorrow. But
Right?
that's our MO, right? And everybody does a little bit differently, but mine is like if I'm gonna like not blast off during the race, but if I'm gonna like go and put in some sustained effort, it's gonna be low effort. Slow the hell down going into it. That's my
Oh, I've been to literally, I've lost track, hundreds and hundreds of start
yeah.
lines. In myself participating and or working
Yeah.
or even volunteering. And you'll get those announcers
Mm.
that insist, Spartan was like this, insist
Oh
on
yeah.
pumping up the crowd.
Mm.
Everybody's got like rah and chant and do all these things. And I'm like, oh, back off.
Mm. Mm.
Because that's not what everybody needs. Sure, some people will do that and love that experience, but for
Yeah.
many, it's very anxiety inducing. And
Mm.
you'll see people, they have their earbuds on and they're just head down, staying focused. But very high caliber athletes, you'll never see any of that kind of stuff. They're
Yeah.
absolutely regulating their nervous system to a
In
T.
the
They're
zone.
experts.
In the
They're
zone.
experts at it, and it's just
Yeah.
beautiful to watch
Yeah.
and see them kind of just, oh, we're just rolling up to the Olympics. Mhm.
Because there's enough going on in the bio. Thank you for recommending the Simone Biles. I had watched a couple of them and I watched the rest of it. So I got through her going to the Olympics,
Oh,
and it's
so
like,
good.
I mean, can you imagine going to the Olympics after 20 something years of working on your life and just, I mean, it's amazing to think like, how do you not be stressed out? How do you not be totally just, like losing your shit? Like it's a
She is an
pro,
expert on regulating
pro.
her nervous system and
Yeah,
her thoughts and everything else. And she's worked
yeah, yeah,
tirelessly to be that human in the world. And,
yeah,
is a great role model
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
And it's fun to see that. But we can all take that into our everyday lives.
absolutely,
Right? If you've had a
absolutely.
bad day at work, don't, rush to your car, drive 100 miles an hour home in traffic, and then, slam the car door, run into the house and start screaming at your kids and husband. I mean, hello.
Regulate a little.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
used to call it transition time, right? So, use the car time,
Transition
whatever.
time.
Or when you get home, hey, I need a little transition time, whatever it is, like
Yeah.
downshift, slow it the hell down, like let go of what was before and get into the now, right?
Drive around the block 3 times if you have to. Whatever,
Sit in the
you know?
driveway. Who cares? Yeah.
Well, then someone's going to come bang on that window. But
Oh,
but whatever you need to be doing,
yeah.
figure out what works for you. It's so individual, but it's such a critical piece of our overall health and wellness,
Mhm.
not just performance, but really how we feel and operate in the world.
Definitely. And I think, what we want to put a pin on and just like help you guys focus on. So like the one thing is finding moments of self-coaching,
Mm.
self-soothing, self-regulating, either whether that looks like cleaning up your house, if that's what makes you feel better, going out into community and getting connection, or just taking a chill pill, like chillax for the day or hours or whatever, or taking some deep breaths or the sighing technique, whatever it is, utilizing those as techniques to self-regulate and get this nervous system into a place where you're able to respond instead of just react to life.
You want to be
Right.
super radical?
Oh,
Tell people that's what you're doing. Tell your spouse or your children. Tell your coworkers or your boss, whatever.
mm.
Hey, I am going to regulate my nervous system now. I'll be back. What are they going to say? First of all, they'll be like, what the? And then immediately they'll be curious and they'll
How
say,
the hell do you do that?
can you teach me how to do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And let
Mhm.
us know. Give us some feedbacks. Let us know how this works for you. And
Totally. Totally.
I would love ideas. I'm sure people have hundreds of them that we haven't even covered, but
Yeah.
just wanted to shine a light in this episode on the importance and the value. And if you don't know what the vagus nerve is, please, like
Oh, yeah.
you and I are learning more and more about it. I think its importance is we've only scratched the surface of it. So keep
Yeah.
diving
All
into
right,
that.
lady.
All
This
right,
was,
Liz, what do you want to remind our
as
beautiful
per
humans of?
usual, how your life feels is more important than how it looks.
Yes, and every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.
All right. See you
Cheers.
soon. Bye.